So this will be kind of fun. I am a bit more interactive in this. I am going to demonstrate this live, and this connection is pretty touchy. So hopefully everything's all right. Oh man. All right. Starting off good.
We can try a different USB-C adapter.
Okay.
I know at least someone has another one.
I got one.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, it wants to slide down and it's pulling it when it does. So. See what this does.
That scared me.
Okay, cool. All right. So what we're going to do here is build an augmented reality app in 10 minutes. I know that sounds kind of silly, but honestly, I've been using a tool to do just that, and I've used it a couple of times with pretty good success. And so the main point of this is really just to kind of inspire you, maybe, to do something similar. You think about augmented reality and like, what a hard thing that must be to do, but there's so many tools out there that make this job actually pretty easy. So just wanted to demonstrate a really simple example of what this would look like. And the two tools we're going to be using for this is Unity. And if you are at all familiar with Unity, you might know it as a gaming platform, which it absolutely is. But they have partnered, or they have a pretty intimate relationship with a company called Vuforia, who makes a really nice augmented reality library that integrates really well into Unity. So those are the two things we're going to be using here. And we'll start off with opening Unity, maybe. There we go. New project. And while it does take just a little bit to boot up, so I might kind of flop back and forth between these two different things. Here we go. So I know a lot of this, if you've not messed with this before, I'm not a game person, so when I came into Unity, this was a whole new world for me, and so it may very well be for you as well. So I'm going to talk very quickly through these things. I'm just going to hit basically the build button up here, and what we see is basically a blank plane. This is what a blank project looks like. I just wanted you to see that for context, so when we start adding some of this stuff in here, here we go. So what I did here is I mentioned that Unity has kind of an intimate relationship with Vuforia. So built into the platform is an option there to enable Vuforia's library basically in your project, which is exactly what's happening here. And as that's booting up, I'm going to actually switch over to Vuforia's developer portal here. And that's the license page there. I'm going to add a database in here, and I'm going to call it DevFest. And what I'm looking to do here is give Vuforia an image, and this image is going to be what it expects to see. And so when your camera, like on your phone, for example, if you were to come across this thing, it will react to that. So that could be anything from a product logo to, like a QR code or something very unique. So if you're a company who wanted something interactive to display when your company logo, is scanned, basically, that's what we're uploading here. And so we're uploading a target. And I felt it fitting for the time of year and our location for this to be our target. Has anybody seen the new It movie? Yes, that makes me happy. So I'm choosing that image, and then the way that this works is it kind of expects a real world width measured by meters. So that kind of helps with scaling the thing that is shown on the screen. We're just going to kind of fudge it now because it doesn't really matter, because I don't have a real poster to scan in here. Now that I've uploaded it, the Vuforia engine has done a lot of the hard work by taking that image and recognizing features of that. So you can kind of see here how it's picking up pieces in there to figure out when a camera looks at it, how can it identify, how can it identify pieces in there to see that that's the image that it's looking at. So it's done all of the hard work for us here. What's going on? There we go. And all I have to do now is come back to this database and download it. And there's a couple of options here for Android Studio, Xcode, and Visual Studio. So you can use Vuforia outside of the Unity framework. You don't have to use that. You can do it in a native application. It's kind of cool because you kind of get one library to work across both Android and iOS. Even when you're doing it natively, you can kind of work with the same API as opposed to working directly in each one of those worlds and their whole augmented reality stuff. So I'm just going to download this. I'm going to drag and drop that file into Unity, and it just wants me to import that. Cool. Sorry, this is a lot harder to see than I thought. This angle's rough. Okay, so now I've got my main camera in here. Again, this gets into like 3D world and game stuff that we're not going to touch on at all. Earlier when I allowed Vuforia stuff in here, I've now got an option to add an AR camera. So before, when I hit build and ran this, you saw just that blank plane. Since I removed that main camera and put the Vuforia camera in here, I get my webcam. So when you run this on a phone, it's actually going to pull up your phone camera right there. And for anybody who's done, mobile development, it's not nearly that easy to just, drag and drop something and get access to the camera like that. So that is pretty cool. We're going to keep rolling here. Next thing I'm going to do is put a Vuforia image inside here. And this is that image target that it's looking for. So this is going to be our movie poster. And when I do that, automatically it's going to recognize over on the right side here. I don't even know what it looks like up there. But it's already detected that It movie poster. When I imported that package, it's smart enough to recognize you've already got one in here, but you can set it up from scratch. And again, I don't know if you can see this very well, but you can kind of see like that 3D version of that poster. It's all warped and everything on there. So there's one more thing I need to do, and that is to grab the license key. It's not a dead key like Jason's was, but feel free to use it because it is limited and it doesn't cost anything, so have at it. Paste the key there. And so if I were to build this right now, nothing would happen. I mean, we'd still see the webcam here. Yep. But there's one last thing I need to do is what do I want to show when that image target is hit? And so I found somewhat of a Pennywise 3D model out there. And I did my best to like remap some of the meshes and textures and what have yous. And so now that I've got that imported in here, I'm simply going to nest that as a child under that image target. And so the way that this works is anything that sets under this layer is what will get displayed when that image target is hit. And so you can see that this is kind of big. The poster is like the size of, I think, that orange piece down here. So I'm actually going to make this model quite a bit smaller here. Oh boy. Oh, there we go. Got Move it up. Cool. So now you can kind of see its size relative to that poster, and hopefully, if all goes well, like I said, I don't have the poster, but I'm going to pull the image up on my phone. And see if we can get it to focus. There we go. Yep. So, I mean, like this is setting right up against here, but you can rotate him around, you know, so he's standing up. So if you're intending to look at it on a surface, it's just a really cool tool. So like I said, this is kind of a meaningless demonstration for the most part, but hopefully it inspired somewhat to kind of mess around with this within 10 minutes of being able to do something like that. I mean, is just really awesome, I think. So that is AR in 10 minutes.
Just keep